So, Darbha Sahab?
Yeah, namaskar.
Namaskar.
Hari Om. So, to bring back to the highway that we are on, the Bhagawadgita highway, the Rajamarga in the Rajguhya Rajavidya Yoga. So, the Lord is reinforcing here all ways, ALLWAS and ALWAS, always. So he is reinforcing with these always is what are the different paths through which one can reach the Bhakti Yoga, the Jnana Yoga, the Karma Marga or the Karma Yoga. And always, when he says always is Nitya Yukta, and then he started this current shlokas with Satatam. So that is always basically. And he is also talking about the, in the first verse, he talked about the bhakti, and the second and then the third, he is talking about the jnana yoga. One is the ways, and the other one is the dhradavrata, satatam, and nitya yukta. So these are the things, so these are the key words. And another set of keywords that he had used is how those people who have chosen to pursue him or worship him, understand him, realize him and reach him in different ways, all ways will lead to him only. That's what he is reinforced. And for which kind of people? For those people who are always focused only alone on him. So that is the fundamental. And it could be ekatvena, bahutvena, bahudha, ya, vishwatomukha, and prathak. These are the words which he had used. So there are several people. तो वन में साकार रूप को अपना सकते हैं, जैसे अभी तक डिस्कशन हुआ है. So another set of people may want to pursue a nirakar roop and sakar roop, a nirguna upasana or saguna upasana or vigraha aradhana or rekha or yantra or even own sheer mantra, or some people even in a nischala, a vipassana kind of a thing, or even a samadhi kind of a sthiti. So there are several ways which were given. So always and then always, I thought is a wonderful way of looking at it in the summing of these the four shlokas. And then he talked about the yajna. In the second thing he talked about aham, 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 aham. And several times in poetry also, to reinforce the meaning and to give the beauty to the poetry, it is called alliteration. And he has used it. Aham kratur aham yajnaha swata aham aham aushadam mantraham ahameva ajyam aham agni aham hutam. He has used every time aham aham to reinforce that boss. Don't get confused that it is you or maybe something else or something. It is only me in everything. In the previous chapter and in this chapter also, in previous shlokas, he has very clearly mentioned, and in the forthcoming shlokas also he has given. So to synthesize this, I was just looking at it, and then it struck to me that here he is talking about aham, aham, aham everywhere, and which is 9 by 6, 9th chapter 6th shloka. In 4th chapter 24th shloka, he talked about brahmarpanam, brahmahavihi, brahmagno, brahmanahutam, brahmaiva tena gantavyam, brahma karma samadhina. So there he has used a similar kind of a alliteration, brahma, 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 brahma. Here he is using aham, 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 aham. अगर मैं इन दोनों को जोड़ूं तो मेरे को ऐसा एक्साइटमेंट मिला है कि ये अहम एंड देन ब्रह्मा. So that is the aham brahmasmi. I think it's a beautiful way of looking at it, 9 by 6 and 4 by 24. I have discovered yesterday while studying through this, which I thought that I would share. That वो सत्य जानना ही जो सब में भगवान है और भगवान ही सब है. So that's what is a phenomenal understanding. Aham here and then Brahma there, aham brahmasmi. And then second thing he talked about the different forms of the kratus and the yajnas he talked about. Anything what we do, a human endeavor, a pursuit or a mission or a project or any activity is called the yajna in olden days in Sanatana, a systematic way of pursued for a chief purpose, the purushartha पाने के लिए. Of course, they say that swarga kamo yajeta. So, and what is the swarga, heaven? Heaven is not just some 70-72 हूर होते हैं और उनके साथ जो भी करना है. That is a different concept. But in our concept, heaven is कितने लोगों को ये 72 खुश खुशामंद कर सकते हैं? I never understood. But anyway, so but coming to that, coming to what the point that I want to make is heaven का मतलब है happiness or आनंद. So the heaven, Swarga Kamo Ejeta. So whatever yajna is done to propitiate various forms of the god, like we talked about, like Indram, Mitram, Agni, Varuna, and then Soma. So there are several ways of, but at the end of the day, these are all positions and then the different forms manifestation of the same Brahma to propitiate and then to seek the blessings and then to reach that. So that is an endeavor. Anything what we do in our day-to-day life also, it's a concentrated effort, whether it is yajna, tapa, dana. Yajna is done for the majority, for the loka kalyana and for the maximum people, whereas tapa is done for your own, development, a focused activity, and dana is again done, and then of course karma, yajna, dana, tapo, karma are done, and these are all karma activities, punya karmas. And good deeds only will get you a good name. So ultimately, everybody wants a good name, and good name just doesn't come. Name will come popular. Even Bin Laden is as popular as Mahatma Gandhi. Maybe more people know in the world today. But Mahatma Gandhi is or any other person, if not Mahatma Gandhi. There are some people who have done some good karmas, are well remembered, and some bad fellows also, even negative publicity also, they become popular. So talking about good karmas, and good karmas way of doing this is yajna, and there are several yajnas. There are ishtis, there are kratus, there are yajnas, and there are yagas, there are homas. There are several variations of a good deeds and then a good concentrated effort activity. Like for example, a ishti is a smaller form for a need and then a desire fulfillment, like a putra kameshti, or maybe a rajasu yaga to have the empire, and then there is an ashwamedha yaga. So there are several different forms of the yajnas and then kratus and then ishtis. But whatever you do, it is he only it will reach whatever you are offering. So that is one thing is yajna he is talking about. And to focused way of doing thing is yad bhavam tad bhavati. That's what, to practically relate it to it, I was applying to myself and then looking at, the process which I used to go through as a child, as a youth, as a grown up, young adult and things like that. At different points of time, all of us have got needs and wants and desires. When we want something, let's say a bachelor, eligible bachelor looking for a marriage, every beautiful looking girl, he will only be looking at girls. And every good looking girl will be looking like a potential wife, for him. Or similarly, if I wanted to buy a car, but when I wanted to buy a car, when I'm going on the road, हर कार को देखना, देखता था मैं, ये कार कैसा है, ये कार कैसा है, ये कार है, anything, when I wanted to buy a house, some hundreds of houses are, ये कैसे बना है, interior कैसा है. So same thought used to, completely occupy my mind. So that's what is also said, jayate vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate. When you think about this material position, about need fulfillment, and as a HR person, what motivates people, that's what I'm trying to focus on practical aspect. To fulfill a need and what drives you towards that need and then fulfillment of a desire, that motivation comes from your preoccupation with that particular thought. उठते फिरते जागते सोते, यही चिंता यही आलोचना रहती है. Whenever we want to, if you have observed, I'm sure viewers would understand what I'm trying to say. You are obsessed with that thought till such time you get that. Once you get that, you will move to some other object of your desire. So similarly, but if you make Bhagavan your object of desire, and then Nitya Yukta and Satatam with a Dhrudhavrata, and there is a possibility that he will come and then reside in you. And because you just cannot, in the previous lokas, in previous chapters, we tried to understand Antakale Vimame, Chamameva, Antakale, Pimameva. like that. But Antakale, it may not happen. It may happen ka 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 kawa kaddu kate, like that you may become. But how is it possible? Is it only possible when you are always engaged in it, nityayukta, satatam, drudavrata, nityashaha, then there is a possibility of he coming in yadbhavam tadbhavati, that what you psych yourself and you are thinking about it, you contemplate about that particular thing, the possibility of that you gaining it are much more, and then you reach that. That is the thing. And for that to happen, like you, Sarmaji started with Dvandva Tita, all Dvandvas we'll have to get rid of. And he here talked about Triputis, like, the Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, all kinds of forms of the Trinity. With Sattva, Rajas, Tamo, Guna, ya Jnanam, Jnana, Jnata,
एक
Prama,
बार
all
आचार्य जी
that
कुछ
there are
इंटरजेक्शन
several.
चाह रही हैं, आपसे कुछ पूछना चाह रही हैं जी?
मेरे से पूछना चाह रहे हैं?
हाँ, Darbha Sahab, I just
जी.
want to say something that when we look at the Mahabharata, see, when did we get to, who are the two people who got to see the divinity of Lord Krishna? One was the one who did a lot of punyas, that was Arjuna. Second was the one who did a lot of adharmas, that was Duryodhana. Duryodhana को भी divinity देखने मिला था. So when you're talking about seeing Bhagwan's divinity here or there or around you, इसका एक शॉर्टकट ये होगा कि या तो आप इतने पुण्य कर लो कि भगवान आपके सामने आकर के अपनी डिविनिटी दिखाएं, या फिर आप इतने अधर्म कर लो कि उनको आकर के अपनी डिविनिटी दिखानी ही पड़े, डराने के लिए कि भाई मैं भी कुछ हूँ. So I'm just cutting it short and presenting it to you on a palette that you either do this or you that, and then he will eventually come in front of you. Why are you looking forward into other cars and houses and girls and people? सिर्फ ये छोटा सा काम.
That's my way of expressing as I've chosen to relate it to practical things. But इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप दुष्कर्म करते रहो वैसे भी भगवान आएगा और आपको. No, that is a गलत way of looking at it. And of course another way of looking at it, let me complete, is Hiranyakashipu was also thinking about the Lord's name Satatam. He was also thinking कब से कहाँ से किस कोने से आके मुझे मारेगा, कैसे मारेगा, मैं भी देखता हूँ. But he also got mukti. I think that is a better example of giving rather than Duryodhan को भी मुक्ति मिला. दुर्योधन को मुक्ति मिला है कि उसका युद्ध रणभूमि में उसका मृत्यु हुआ है, और क्षत्रिय को रणभूमि में मृत्यु पाने के लिए स्वर्ग मिल सकता है. स्वर्ग मिला है, मोक्ष नहीं मिला है. So there is a lot of difference. So ये गलत होगा to say that अगर गलत काम करे तो भी भगवान वैसे आके तुमको मारेगा, और मारने से भगवान के हाथ में मार जाने से मोक्ष मिल जाएगा. That is a very short way of looking at it. Is an answer I would do. But to finish what I'm trying to say, so finish. My first round is still not complete. 1 second.
Yes,
my first round, let me complete, and then interjections we can take as per the scheme of the program. And Bhate Sahab has still not spoken in the first round. I think sabar karo aap. I think if you wait for your round, we can take. I can also take some interjections.
No,
that's a good
it is
way.
not my round. I just want to tell you what it is not about the round. You can have my round. I just want to interject right now at this moment.
No, but it's not the time to interject, is what I'm saying, sir. Let me complete my first round.
Let him speak something. Let him speak. Yeah,
just see this. when we have comments, these sort of things are bound to be there. Interpretation, examples. Like, for example, one example, we talk about hoors. Immediately I thought of that Urvashi song of A.R. Rahman, Take It Easy Policy, Urvashi. So that way, what I mean is, whenever we try to correlate things with modern examples, this kind of dichotomy or dissonance is likely. It is better in that sense just to stick to the original text as much as possible. This is my humble submission.
Then,
thank you.
Then if we have to stick to original text, then first two speakers only will finish it out. Then where is the need for Jignasu ki drushti se, and each one of us are representing different walks of life, and then that is the brief given to us, and accordingly I have been following it. It's not that I cannot talk about only philosophy and Sanskrit and deeper meanings. जानबूझ के I am giving these kind of things to relate it to that. It's not because of lack of understanding or jnana or anything. It's very clear.
No,
And
nobody's
second
saying
thing is,
that.
as per the
Nobody's
scheme,
saying that.
Vittal ji, wait kariye. As per the scheme, I think it is only fair that the first whatever round में जो आदमी को जो वक्ता को जो कहना है, otherwise the thought process and the stream will go off. And if I have to keep on answering and being defensive, ultimately all of us are trying to interpret within the limitation of our understanding and the knowledge. And the more we indulge in, answering each other and then way of looking at it, like for example, and there is no need to be defensive about hooray or anything when we're talking about Bhagavad Gita. It's very clear. So I am just making, let me complete in 5 seconds, is that the Triputi jo hota hai, whatever we are having, any forms of the thing, Rug Yaju Sama ho ya Jnanam, Jnanam, Jnata, Nyam, और झाना झाता झेयम जो भी है त्रिपुटी उसका एक ही द फाइनल डेस्टिनेशन इज ये भगवान the internal object is the Bhagavan, the subject is the Bhagavan, and the goal is the Bhagavan, the purpose, the journey is the Bhagavan, and the destination is the Bhagavan. So that's what I just wanted to. Otherwise, the rest of it will be unnecessary toolkit which we should not. And same thing, the CSR. Long back in Sanatan, they have talked about CSR about 5 runas and then 5 yajnas that we have to do. First, Deva, Rishi, Pitru, Manushya, and then Nara. These are the and Bhuta Yajna. These are the 5 yajnas and 5 runas to pay back for. And we are talking about CSR and all. Some Greta Thunberg and some Malala Yousaf and some youngsters have to come today, and we are in such a kind of a toolkit kind of environment that we don't need. We have all that which is beautifully what is called as the secular, which of course some others have given a different semantic meaning. The all-inclusiveness of secular is the Sanatana Dharma. And it is all there, and unfortunately we are so used to our modern way of thinking and the so-called the scientific recently learned things, and we want to understand through that prism, and hence we unnecessarily get stuck with that instead of leaving the highway, the super highway. Thank you very much. Now I think probably after Bhattesab completes, we can, if time is there, we can answer and reparty. Thank you.
Yeah, if we have time, we will definitely.
In some other context, it is too involved and deep to finish off in a couple of sound bites. Thank you.
Right. Darbha Sahab?
No, same thing. Where there is a lot of research, in fact, in India also is done. Where previously I was a professor at the only yoga university, which is in India, is in Bangalore, Sri Vivekananda Yoga Anusandhan Samsthan. And I was a professor of yoga and management 3 years back. And there is a whole lot of there. H.R. Nagendra is incidentally the first founding president of the International Yoga Day. The Guruji bolte hain. वहाँ पे there is a lot of research done on Om, and the neurological and with all that. And it is proven, even there is a scientist called Hicks, John Hicks or something. He has done a lot of research on the vibration of the Om and things like that. Like Ravaji has said, yes, A and U and then Ma are the Srushti, Sthiti and then Laya, and Omichekaksharam is the Brahma, that is the symbol as well as the Nada Brahma and the Shabda Pramana, and the Parama Pranava. There are Pancha Pranavas. I don't want to repeat those Bijaksharas, but the highest form of Om is that signifies the Brahman. Thank you.
Right. So,
Darbhaji. By a great coincidence, I was just referring before starting this program to the very things that you are talking about.
है इसको एक बार लाइए तो क्लोजअप में लाइए राजयोगा एक बार आपके चेहरे के सामने रख लीजिए चेहरे के बिल्कुल सामने चेहरे के सामने रख लीजिए योगा राजयोगा ओके
This is by H.R. Nagendra.
Yeah, same. He was my boss.
Yes. So I spent a lot of wonderful time with him on behalf of the TOI, and we also did a very nice program where he has dealt with all these aspects of practical aspects. And
Right.
this is one of the series of books that we had promoted at that time in the speaking tree.
Correct.
And this is not made up. It was actually on my table. I needed some time to find
Okay.
it, and here it is.
Okay.